and gentlemen, after a 1-week hiatus, we are back. We are not jet lagged. We are good to go again. High off the Bucks win. So we will be having Mark join us in a little while. He's stuck in traffic at the moment in time. So we thought we'd take this opportunity, the first 15 minutes or so, to talk about how unbelievable our trip to Atlanta was. So, of course, myself, Liam and Cal all attended. One of our friends did as well. And then we also took a group of 8 others out and also met a handful of others over there. It was a top trip. So let's just give you a little bit of a rundown. Liam, how did you find Atlanta?
Oh, it was amazing. The whole trip was just great. Obviously, we had a jam-packed schedule. We crammed in as much as we possibly could in a short period of time. We had lucky to have 3 visits to the stadium, which was good. The stadium itself is just incredible. The city's just incredible. Just seeing different areas. I guess I know the folks over the pond won't understand why it's so different to us, because I imagine a lot of the cities, the bigger cities at least, are similar in a way, but they're nothing like the cities over here. For anyone who's not been over here, they're not like that. Just everything's different. So everything's just fascinating to us. They're probably people wondering why I was taking a picture of Waffle House or whatever, but we just don't see these things.
Waffle House and Waffle House's kitchen whilst I'm sat in
there. Just taking a photo of like everything, just traffic lights, just taking photos of traffic lights just because they're in a different place. I loved it. But yeah, obviously the result wasn't exactly what we went over for, but the rest of the experience was great. The game itself was a great spectacle in an amazing stadium. So we'll definitely be going back, I hope. So yeah.
Well, the tour providers emailed me today saying, just remember, we do playoff trips as well. And I was like, don't put that.
Don't say that.
Don't be saying things like that. I have no money as it is. But yeah, Cal, how did you find the trip? Of course, you stayed out a few more days. And our prized and prided guest that came out with us, Connor. Yes, he's a Cowboys fan, but Connor is mine and Cal's very good friend, and now Liam's very good friend as well. Came out with us for the trip, and loved it. Anyway, sorry, Cal, I interrupted.
No, not at all. What a trip, Liam obviously said most of it, but from start to finish, it is completely different to any cities you have over here, and maybe that is like a whole of America as well, but Atlanta was just like perfect. It was like, feel like sort of a second home. Everyone was so welcoming. Every time I went to the bar, went to the stadium, went to the tailgates, there was nothing. Like everyone was so friendly. Yeah. And like the amount of stuff we actually did in even the 4 days or the 4 nights we was there together, it was so much. And let's go back.
Well, let's go back.
As soon as our funds can help us along, we'll definitely be going back in the future. There's literally no doubt about it. Us 3, Connor will come, Mark will be coming. There'll be so many more people. But the city was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable.
Well, even though we might want to go back, Paul says if we get in the playoffs, don't go back because we're clearly a bad luck. So that's completely fair enough. So maybe we'll wait until we're on a losing season again. But yeah, just to reiterate what the boys were saying, we really did jam-pack our schedules. We were knackered. We barely slept. And I don't mean we're out drinking late. We just barely slept because we were up so early every morning just doing the next thing. So, God, how did we even start? We landed late Friday night, literally bedtime. We went to the hotel bar, had a drink or 2 and went to bed because we'd been traveling all day. Got up first thing Saturday morning, College Football Hall of Fame, which was amazing, by the way. I knew it was going to be decent, but it was much better and much more interactive than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the AI to it also. When you go in, you put your details in, and then as you're going around the museum, it's like making mock versions of you and like in the 1920s and in the 80s. And And when you go into the pitch to do the kicking and the throwing and the wide receiver drills, it does you a big intro and everybody can see it. It's really embarrassing, but it's really fun. But yeah, we did that. Then to the Georgia Tech Notre Dame game where we watched we went to the tailgate and watched the game. And that night, admittedly, we did stay out for quite a while. We were last men standing at the tailgate. There was one car of fans who very, very kindly accepted us in and offered us food and drink. And by food, I don't mean like a little plate. I mean like all of the food that existed. Crazy stuff. And then, of course, the Falcons game the next day, which was, we just committed our whole day to that, basically, just the tailgate, the game, and then anything we could after. Like the boys said, the result was not what we wanted it to be, but the spectacle itself makes it worth the journey. Of course, I would have liked to see a win or at least a bit of a better performance, but these things happen, and we're 5-3 now, so all is forgotten. Liam, do you want to talk about maybe Monday or Tuesday or something like that? I feel like I'm rambling now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember which day we did what thing, but I think Monday we did is that the Coca-Cola Museum? Is that the day we did that? Yeah, that was great. I mean, obviously, we knew it was the home of Coca-Cola and everything, and I didn't really know what to expect in a Coca-Cola museum. There was obviously a lot of artifacts and things going on, and we got to try some different, like, I don't know what it was, some like that red cream soda thing, and we got to see the vault.
Do you know what? I forgot about that one until then. I keep talking about the pumps, but not the red cream soda.
Oh yeah, that was good. That, I mean, I claimed I was going to go back for like more of it until we got to the last part where you just drink like the unbelievable amount of soda, as they would call it, to the point where I was shaking like a leaf because I'd consumed so much sugar that I didn't even know what was going on. I was drunk too. I was just dancing around in a little well with probably like all different colours, and we tried every single one, good and bad. Mostly good, but definitely some bad. Some that I wouldn't recommend to a worst enemy, but most of them were pretty good. We tried the one that was what I think you at the time said was recommended.
We keep losing Liam, you're all over the show, unless that's just for me. You're on fast forward then.
Yeah, you are.
I don't know.
Try the from recommended. We got to. You might be all right.
Can you hear me properly now?
Yeah.
So we tried the one that you claimed was recommended, but I think we actually got de-recommended.
Within punk. Yeah, within punk.
Yeah. That was not nice. Also the whatever that other one was, sour plum Fanta. Cannot recommend sour plum Fanta.
Fizzy barbecue.
Do not do it, people. Do not do it
violently. It's horrible. And then on top of that, we managed to go to the aquarium, Martin Luther King's
Big Fish
Park and Museum. Big fish and whales and sharks. Big fish. What else did we do? I feel like we're missing something. Basically, any tourist attraction that you could squeeze in 4 days of activities, we did.
Yeah.
And then Carl dragged a few more in the meantime.
He did.
On that note, because I think we've got some more videos to put out separately about the trip. I've got loads of little montages to post on the Falcons pages that'll be coming out over the next week or so anyway. Let's jump into what's happened in the Bucks game. And on that note, our main man is going to pop up. All right, can we take odds of guesses where he's going to pop? I'm going to go bottom right. Oh, no, bottom right.
Yeah.
Hello, Mark. Mark's on mute. Mark is still on mute, but it's all good. We'll carry on anyway. So, boys, as I was saying, whilst he looks slightly concerned for his life and safety, we of course played the Bucks. Another divisional game. We only played them 2 weeks ago. We're now 5-3, 4-0 in the division. It was a little bit of a bonkers game from my perspective. We looked like we should have been home and sound and safe after the first half, and then we kind of falconed a little bit and just couldn't find much stability. Liam, what did you make of the game?
Yeah, I mean that kind of sums up the game, especially the first sort of half, or beyond, was just a bit of back and forth. It was a bit of a just no team could really stop the other at one point. Like it was just going to go on forever, and it's going to be score after score. And it was sort of who was going to adjust first wins the game. And I think we just had on field more firepower than they did. I think that won us the game in the end. But great game. I think like really cool perspective in particular. It was just a bit of a humdinger from us. It was nerve-wracking because like we were good, and then we were in it, and then
All over the place.
We're doing well in division.
Yeah.
On and off, Liam.
Oh, Mark is back here on the backstage, so let's try and drop him back in again. Hello.
Hello.
Let's go. Perfect.
Live in the middle of nowhere. Internet's awful. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the show. Don't worry, Liam's internet's been worse than yours normally is.
Yeah.
So
I'll rejoin in a minute. I'll try to go out and I'll be back. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we've only literally just jumped onto the Bucks game. Liam's just summarised his bit, so I'm going to pass over to Cal. Oh, there we go. And then I'll jump back up to you, Mark, so you've got a minute to get with pace.
Yeah.
So go on, Cal. What did you feel or see or whatever?
Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy game, a game that we definitely made hard for ourselves, and it should have been. The offense did play very well, I thought, throughout the game. Obviously, a few mistakes later in the fourth quarter, which didn't help our nerves at all. The defense was partially very good, but then partially absolutely abysmal. But I think we're sort of used to parts of that now. But you're 4-0 in the division. You're 5-3. You've got that extra win. You got 2 wins over the Bucks. Saints ain't going to be challenging. Panthers are literally have no chance. So you've already got them 2 wins over them. So it's a massive win. There's obviously things that still have got to improve against the bigger teams that will start playing. But 4-0 in the division, you can't really complain too much.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of those. We didn't perform at our best again on both sides of the ball, but ultimately the win's the win at the moment in time. It's not early in the season anymore. That's my only concern. It's mid-season now. You really need to shape up and look like a little bit structured. I don't want to speak too early, but at the moment in time, it is looking like a 2-horse race for who goes to the playoffs from our division, unless something monumentally bizarre happens. Mark, I see you grimacing there, so would you like to chip in?
No, I think Cal's spot on. I think the way that game went yesterday, it was consistently like every time they got the ball back, you just not confident that this defense are going to really hold tight, which is really frustrating because we've got the talent to do it.
Yeah.
So again, offense, I've got no complaints really. It was clicking, run game and passing game equally running well. I think again it was another good display from the O-line. I think there'll be a bit of a black mark on this game with some sections of NFL fans because obviously they were missing their main 2 guys, right? But injuries happen. So I'm not really playing ball with that excuse very much. It's next man up. It's the way of the NFL. But I think that. And I think I said it the week before you guys went away. this defense is not getting any better. And I really don't think it's due to the pieces that we've got. I think we're probably one edge rusher short talent-wise. It's the scheme. It's this bend but don't break. Let's just stop explosive plays kind of mentality that's making this defense easy to carve open. And I think against better teams, we're gonna have a severe problem. And not to bring it up, lads, as I know you've seen it in the flesh, but last week was a real prime example of that.
Yeah, very much so. I think the only thing you can say is, even if as a scheme, both sides of the ball, we're not always performing at our best, individuals are performing well. And that kind of drags you through it a little bit. I'm not saying that's going to work for the length of the season, but we're getting away with it at the moment in time because you've got Jesse Bates making picks all the time. You've got AJ rocking up with a few here and there. Yeah. You've got on the other side of the ball, Pitts randomly having his first 2-touchdown game of his career and things like that. So you have very, very good individual performances, but that's probably only going to take us as far as the playoffs. And then after that, it's every game, like all the technicality. This is assuming we get to the playoffs. I just mean, wouldn't see us progressing very far if it was to stay like this. That's all.
I think even with the games that I don't know the schedule. You still got the Vikings. Still got quite a few difficult games that before the season started, we probably thought, oh, we'll probably do them. But then the Vikings I know they lost the last two, but they are a strong team. There's quite a few more strong. I think the schedules actually sort of gets harder again after the Cowboys, apart from like the Panthers and the Saints probably.
Yeah.
But it's still not an easy schedule left. But something has to change on that defense, and to get whether we get the playoff or not, if we get to that playoff game, playoff football is completely different as well. Everyone knows it is. Something would have to change in that game for me.
Yeah. I am pulling the trigger very early, even mentioning the playoffs, but I thought I'd have to preface it a little bit because you're looking at the division at the moment in time, and we've got to be positive.
But I think one thing to probably note is that and there's always this kind of myth at the beginning of the season where they look at strength of schedule, right? And you boys know that I don't really go along with that very much because actually a lot of the teams that we looked at that would have looked like at the time slam dunk, not a problem. Carl just alluded to there, Vikings, Commanders, another great example. Broncos, again, like a really, really strong defense, and Bo Nix is doing bits. So I think unless we are going into every game hoping to win a shootout, which, if that.
And we've lost him again. We are having technical issues tonight. Mark,
at least we're
as far as and then we went.
Okay. I'm not sure when I said and. I guess all I was trying to say was at least we are equipped to win shootouts in terms of the offense. So again, not where you want to be, because you want to be balanced on both sides of the ball, but it just doesn't feel like we are right now. And I think I said it in the group chat in the week. I don't see what going out and making a splash does, unless that splash is like Max Crosby or Myles Garrett. Like I don't know who else really truly makes a difference to this defense and the scheme that we're playing. I get
you. It's got to be creme de la creme. If it's not top tier, the scheme isn't functioning well enough. So the only exception to an improvement in the defense would be a player that doesn't need a scheme to function well. He is just that good that he can raise the level on his own. But that's probably not the kind of state that we're in at the moment in time. I say we're stuck in that win now to like win soon sort of phase, and I just don't see him dropping the bag. I just really don't see him just splashing out on anyone. I wouldn't say no to it. Obviously, whatever gives us the best chance of winning, but I completely agree. I think unless you're bringing in one of the top 2-3, it's just not going to make that much of a difference because the scheme is not working at the moment in time.
Do you think
I agree.
If the scheme was working and we was beating teams more comfortable, but then you still had the bits where we still need a pass rush, everyone knows that. Do you think they'd be more tempted to then go for the big guy and be like, this is our win now?
I mean, I'll let the boys have their say, but I'd say so. If the defense was showing up and we weren't absolutely dropping 20 to 30 points a game, then why not? Then you can afford to take the gamble. But why take a gamble on a player that might come in? You're paying in bags and ultimately it do nothing.
Well, I mean, there's one thing that sticks out here, unless, I'm sure, negotiations can be struck, but we haven't got bag to give, boys. So, it's one of those, you can potentially go make a deal, but if you go make some deal for one of the big guys, that's kicking money down the road.
Yeah, which we've come away from. Yeah. And Terry's done an excellent job of not having us in that position. Over whatever you think of his draft picks and his picks and blah, 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 you cannot deny that he's worked pretty hard to get this cap hell out of the way. Admittedly, it's been helped by the fact that Matt and Julio's contracts have fizzled out in that amount of time as well. But financially, he's done the world of good.
Well, yeah, but they instigate that, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? Thomas Dimitrov would have just carried on paying these guys. And I guess you could kind of go, well, look, they've done, and I said this last year, they've done the hard yards now, but they've gone and they've gone down a route where I'm just not sure whose scheme this defensive scheme is. I don't know whether it's Raheem's or if it's Jimmy Lake's. If it's Jimmy Lake's, conversation needs to be had. If it's Raheem's, well, then it probably ain't going anywhere, boys. Right? So, it's like I just continuously go in this kind of circle in my head of we either are going to be defensively a bit of a shambles all year, but we'll win shootouts, or maybe win more shootouts than we lose, right? Or it does progress, but I'm just not seeing it right now, and that makes me worried.
Mm-hmm. Liam, you're rather analytical. How are you perceiving the state of our defense?
I mean, obviously the numbers don't look great, and I'm getting very frustrated about how easy teams are moving the ball down the field in small chunks. I would imagine that's partly because, especially when we've got both safeties on the field, in terms of a deeper, bigger play, they're probably quite fearful of throwing against players like Bates and Simmons just because of, how good they are at reading those plays, and in particular Bates being a bit, like a ball hawk. So I imagine that they're targeting those short and intermediate areas, and teams are just exploiting it play after play. I've just started to think now when a team's on, 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 3 or anything like that, every time I think they're going to convert.
Yeah.
And they are doing a lot of the time, and just progressing out. That's a lot of how we're giving up our plays I don't know if that's, you'd think that maybe as a linebacker sort of area, but the linebackers have performed quite well in the main, but maybe in terms of pass coverage, maybe they're not doing that great. We've seen a bit of some good rush plays from Ellis, and we've seen Lamb do some good stuff, but in trying to, he's not a pass cover guy, is he? He's better at reading the run and get his speed, using his speed to make a tackle. But there's something quite soft about that area of the field for us.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know how we adjust to it. I think I don't think we're doing very well against, I don't know what stats wise, I haven't looked, but I don't know what we're doing like against the run. From my perspective, it doesn't look great. I think we're giving up quite a lot of 5-6 yard runs quite often in a game, which obviously, anyone can do the maths on that. If you give up that many 5 and 6 yard runs, they will go all the way down the field. So that's a bit of an area of concern. Right now, against teams like the Bucks and others, we've got enough firepower to sort of like counter that. If we're talking a little bit, hypothetical about playoff football, there'll be teams that are, too good to allow that against, and somebody will put up a lot of points against us that we can't overhaul. So
yeah,
I think if we're talking about playoff football, we're going to have to address that over the back of the second half of the season.
Yeah, 100%. Just going to briefly jump into the comments because they've been pinging in and I've not kept up at all. Paul saying it was a typical heart attack finish. Absolutely was the case. Again, the second Q missed that kick, I thought, oh no, it's happening again. But we're okay. We're all right. Stuart, let's get yours up. Win 5 out of the 9 and we should be fine. I mean, mathematically speaking, we'd be in a pretty good state there, to be completely honest, and it'd be a winning season, which I've not seen yet. So I'll take it.
I said last night, I think generally 4 wins could win this division as it's going, especially with the Bucks injuries.
Yeah. We've got Lamarcus watching. Sorry we missed you in Atlanta. I know, sorry. Honestly, we had so many people trying to link up and stuff, and we kept trying to post where we were, but there was just too many people. There was just too many people. And Atlanta's a hell of a lot bigger than Manchester as well, so we couldn't get about to everywhere as quickly as we needed to. Painful. Stuart saying it can only get better if we're winning and not playing great. It's not a bad thing, which is correct.
Yeah.
At the moment in time, that is very, very true. It's just, I hope to see an actual improvement because otherwise we'll be down on our luck. We've got Clint saying my favorite thing in the NFL after the Falcons winning is the Cowboys losing. Here's to a big week. Go Dirty Birds. I will speak that into existence, but I also get shouted at for trying to jinx us all the time, so I'll hold up on that. Christy back in for about the 7th week on the bounce now. It's unbelievable. You deserve a membership. We did rise up. Where are we going? I am hoping that the bye week, some adjustments can be made to make us playoff contenders. Maybe, but I mean, on a week-to-week basis, I'd hope that there's some changes being made right now for this weekend, but maybe we do need a little bit more time. Let's go offense because they were much more exciting. There's a lot of positivity.
Just before we do, I just had a quick little look there while you were rolling through the comments about defensive stat rankings.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be, to be honest with you, boys. We're currently the 21st in defense. Don't get me wrong, there's some pretty awful teams below us. But I think, one of the things that stands out is we're the worst for sacks, which we knew about, right? We know that's a problem. Top 10 for interceptions, which is also an interesting stat.
Yeah.
And we're kind of
lost him again.
Well, what?
That's perfect timing.
We've got an interesting stat. The face.
Yeah, it's always an interesting stat.
I really apologise to any of our audio listeners for this show. It has been a bad performance for a lot of us, so we will try and run it back. Mark, we got the top, as far as top 10, and then it cut off me. I don't know what you guys heard. Yeah, we got the interceptions one, but after that it went.
And just everything else is pretty much fair to middling, I think, across pretty much the top 20 teams. Is like, it's been quite a funny year for offenses. I think there's been some really, really prolific offenses, which has obviously kind of really rattled a lot of the defenses across the league. So, I mean, I think, as we said earlier on, the weakness is pass rush. We know that. But to that point, and maybe just to round that off before.
Diabolical. He's gone again.
If
God's sake. You need to move house, mate. This is a joke.
A nightmare. I know.
Oh.
I need to go back to the north.
Right. Liam, you're banned from speaking. Mark, you're banned from speaking.
Okay. I'll just nod and shake my head.
Smile. You'll look good on camera.
Basically, it's not as bad as it probably feels.
Yeah,
I think is the way I'm summarizing that. But pass rush. But we've got to scheme it. We've got to scheme it. It's got to be schemed. That I genuinely think that's why that number is so low, because we're not pushing enough pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. There was an interesting stat, maybe not last week, maybe not against the Bucs, but against the Seahawks, where Geno Smith was pressured on 50% of his plays, and it still resulted in niche, which kind of shows that we're not completely negating it, but we're just not. Something's not
in that area.
Yeah, it's just not clinical at all. Spot on. Anyway, on to happier times. Our offense did some stuff, played some ball. Kirk looked sharp. Mooney looked sharp again. McLeod looked sharp again. Pitts with his first 2 touchdown game of his career. I'm obviously leaving out tons of people here. I completely forgot about Kirktober since right at the start of the month when I first heard the phrase. That thing's real. Very, very real. For whatever reason, it's delightful. The first quarterback for the Falcons to score 8 touchdowns against the Bucs in one season. What did you boys think of his performance? Cal, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, very steady performance again. He, apart from last week's performance, but that was the whole team. But this one was miles better again, back to his best that we've seen throughout the season. Making plays, dropping back, just looked. And that 4th and 1 when he went for it, his Achilles must have
got the 13 yards. Yeah.
No, yeah, and the run as well. But yeah, you can't complain with some of the plays. He's making the plays, getting down the field a lot easier. The run game's looking good. Big shout out to the offensive line again when Lindstrom went off injured. Player that came in obviously did a job. Obviously, Lindstrom's one of our main guys. He's our top guy on the offensive line. So once again, they balled out. Pitts with two touchdowns, which was it tight end day? I don't think
it was National Tight End Day at some point.
Most touchdowns on tight end day ever. So, and he got 2 of them, so can't complain. But yeah, I think we are, apart from obviously last week's defeat, we are improving on the offense every week. It's not like we're sort of getting worse. You get the odd week where last week you lose. It is part of the game. Yeah. But it's not getting worse, and that's obviously if we can just take that side to the defensive side, we'll be a real threat throughout the season.
Yeah, definitely. Liam, what did you make of the offense? I mean, you can speak about anyone, but I was just focusing on Kirk just for the handover.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk was great, very efficient. High percentage of completions, which is really good. Is my mic working fine? I can see my video's doing something weird.
Oh no, you sound fine.
Is it? It's just I don't know what it's doing. But yeah, he was very good, very efficient all the way through. Obviously Bijan was solid. Algier maybe didn't have his best game, but that's going to happen from time to time. Mooney looked great again, I would say, and Pitts obviously is sort of stepping up a lot this season. So we've got a lot of to work with. I think London sort of had a quiet game for his standard, but that's kind of with he's been playing pretty well throughout the season, and now and again you got to have a few less yards, and as long as somebody's doing it, whether that's Pitts or Mooney, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So we did what we needed to do, ran the ball well enough, and that kind of performance will, as long as you can defend well enough, which we know was the area, so that's going to win us, most games this season if we play like that on offense.
Yeah, very true. You're basically saying to the other team, you've got to score on every drive because we're probably going to get points on pretty much every drive at the moment in time. One of the drives we didn't, and we still have a tendency to look sluggish, like 1 in every 5 or 6 drives where we just look like we forget how to move the ball. And I don't know if that's down to play calling or what, or just it's part of the game. But there was one drive in the first half yesterday, and we were out before the first down. And I thought, well, what changes between 5 minutes ago and now? Like, what's going on here? Because they're not better. But
I think, was it that field goal we got just before half time as well, which was obviously an extra 3 points? That was big. So I don't think we had much time on the clock then. I think it was less than a minute or maybe a
seconds.
Minute. So that was another big play, that getting them points in. No, we've got the ball in the second half as well. The ball. But points like that just adds up, and that's how we end up hitting over 30 points again.
Definitely. Mark, what did you make of the offense?
Really, really good. It's so much more, just more competent game management. Like it's and this is why you go and pay Kirk Cousins the money you paid him. Like I a lot of the stuff that I've watched back from yesterday, he has a really, really superhuman ability to just thread the needle. And I like the fact that what they're trying to scheme is going to Mooney a lot more in some games, because he's obviously working against them defenses better. I don't see a problem with. I don't think Drake had an off day. I just think that they probably didn't target him because he'd probably gained a bit of a head of steam of looking like the danger man. And again, when you spend the draft capital on skill players, you can't give every player the ball all the time, right?
No.
And therefore, the coverage starts to break up because they might be focusing on one particular player, and that was proved this week when we seen them get so much of a tune out of Pitts. So although it was slightly infuriating about that, that could have been drop. Luckily, his foot had crossed the plane just before he lost the ball, because that could have again turned the game on a bit of a knife edge at that point. Mm-hmm. So there's still things to clean up, but again, another.
Yeah, it broke then, don't you? We heard there's still
That was good until the end.
Still things to clean up. But what I was really, really happy, one of my highlights of the game was Bijan's little shimmy.
Oh yeah.
And that guy just literally just didn't stop, and it was like Bijan just stopped to wait for a bus. It was it was truly beautiful. So offense, I have no concerns about. We're scheming really, really well, scheming to the strength and keeping defenses guessing. And that's why maybe I'm not as worried about the defense as I could be.
Absolutely. Just one talking point off the back of. Oh, go on, Mark. Sorry.
I was just going to say just an update as well, because Cal mentioned it earlier on. I read this afternoon, Lindstrom's already said he's good to go for next week. So there is no injury there.
No immediate sweating. I was just going to go off the back, just a little, not even a talking point really, just a little bit of a random one. So we all absolutely loved Bijan's confidence. I won't quite say arrogance, but I'll say confidence in his little stop touchdown where he just stopped dead on the line and then basically just strutted over it. What about Pitts's loose hand, not tucked ball behind his back over the line? Because from my perception, those two plays are equally as confident or arrogant or whatever word you want to use it. One just worked an absolute treat, and one just nearly got called. Where do you draw the line? What's too much? Because if Bijan got hit just before the line, do you criticize him, or do you criticize Pitts just because he didn't tuck the ball and that's all you're meant to do? Do you know what I mean? They both went for a confident, cocky play, and one came off really well, and one was on the road.
I think for the Pitts one, everyone knows, like, he knows how to hold the ball. He knows how to protect the ball. I think that's definitely a bit more on him, that he should have been just doing it, like, get over the line and that's it. Bijan's was just fucking sick. I fucking loved it.
Language!
It was so much better. But
yeah,
I think it was slightly different. But with Pitts, he's just got a. He's done that a few times, and even like last week when he's not then going to run to the end, but to the end zone when he could have maybe got a catch or that. I don't know if he should be a bit more.
I think
himself.
Go on, Liam.
I was going to say, I think that I think the Bijan one was almost like it was just like for me, it was more like a genuine move. Like he moved out of the way of a guy that was literally trying to destroy him, like with that, like, and you know, he just stepped backwards, like I was, you know, it's only the same as juking to the left or right. He just went backwards a little bit to dodge him. So I don't see that as a major issue, because if he'd have gone straight in with a contact and he'd been hit just before the line, he could have been sent flying, because that guy was absolutely flying. Which is why the slight sort of shimmy worked, really, because that was what was required for somebody moving at that speed. Pitts one, I mean, he's just, you know, it's just obviously a sort of like a poor concentration thing. But I don't think he knew he was there. That's the thing. He thought he was on his own and had probably 10 yards of space, and you know, you can't really hear people obviously when you've got a stadium like that. So he just didn't know he was there. And you know, a lot of players do this sort of stuff nowadays. It's always been in the league, hasn't it? It's sort of like this, you know,
gamesmanship,
taunting sort of thing, as they call it. It's not always taunting, but they call it that nowadays, don't they? Holding the ball behind you, it's just to add a bit of emphasis that you're sort of, you know, you're away from the defender. There's a guy in the college game who did it this week just gone. I can't remember which team it was for, who was running into the end zone, gave the old peace signs to the defender who wasn't gonna get to him because it happened before he went into the end zone. It's a 15-yard penalty. Didn't even get a touchdown. So that, you know, that's the kind of level. At least it wasn't that. But for me, in my view, the ball wasn't over the line. I don't think it was. I think that they gave it as over the line because the on-field decision was over the line, and they didn't have an angle to prove that it wasn't. So it makes sense to give it. From every angle I saw, it didn't quite look like it was. But we got away with it. So I think the main thing now is that he's not, next time he's running away from a defender, I like to see the ball firmly tucked up.
I'd be shocked if you don't see it like this next time. Like really overemphasized, because he didn't play on the next drive either.
No, he was probably getting a few choice words for a while, to be honest.
Definitely. Probably not even just by Raheem, probably just from the boys, to be honest with you.
I'm scared to start talking in case I drop out again, so I'll be quick with this. You can't take that away from flair players. Like, you can't.
No.
And don't get us wrong. I get where you come from, but you take that away, and like you take almost the showmanship and sometimes borderline the enjoyment out of it, right?
It is the excitement, isn't it? Yeah.
If it had been a mistake, you know, I'd be sitting here probably saying something different, all right? But I guess, like, in today's NFL, you have to just go, look, you know, all right, it's okay to be kind. I genuinely think it probably had something to do with the fact that actually he was on his second touchdown, you know, first time he's ever scored more than one in a game. It probably got to his head. He's still young, like, you know, and also
good.
We don't
Oh,
know.
I think
And
he's
also,
gone this time.
that was a dramatic pause there. And also,
yeah, you're
Also-
good, go.
It's definitely an also.
Oh
mean,
my God.
This
Ladies
is
and gentlemen, we
this
are
is
very sorry
this
for
is a
this.
nightmare.
is-
What is going on?
one long pause.
I know. I hope your also.
It was a dramatic pause for effect. And I think what I was saying was, like, he's probably just he's been hyped up, and this is what he was, the unicorn. This is what he came here to do, right? So I don't think we should be maybe being too hard on him because of it. I just think you just kind of go, look, he probably deserved a
Oh, he's got it.
Oh, he's gone again. Deserved a few.
few choices.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I would say that I think he was the type of touchdown it was. Like it was a great touchdown, wasn't it? Like he'd gone quite a lot of distance. He'd, shaken off a couple of defenders and all that sort of stuff. And that adds to the want to sort of gloat, doesn't it, a little bit? It's not like he just got a simple ball and ran 5 yards. Like he wouldn't have done it if that was the case. It was like big one, weren't it, for him?
He made a couple of good runs though, didn't he? Like even both touchdowns, he's used his pace and he got away from players, which has obviously helped.
It'd be one of the best touchdowns he scored, wasn't it? Probably, and he's certainly in the NFL and probably in his life, because, well, I don't know how much people watched of him at Florida, but there's never usually anyone within 10 yards of him, so he didn't really have a chance to shake people off. So it's probably possibly his greatest touchdown. So I can kind of understand why he's doing it, but I would imagine that he's not going to do it again. At least not for the next 5 touchdowns. Maybe he'll reintroduce it.
I think the taunting part of it is obviously good, but the taunting rule is it's got to be one of the worst rules in the NFL for me. It's absolutely abysmal. It's part of the game. And when we started only 6 years ago, it was big part of it then, but it's obviously got worse, and now they've made the rule of 15-yard penalty. It is a joke, to be fair. That part of the game, that's the excitement. We like that. It's like the banter between the players. It's great, but
it makes for more competition as well, because you rile each other up then, and you get better plays in the next phases of the game because of that. Because if somebody walks up to me and gives it, I don't know, John Cena or something like that, you don't think I want to hit him next time I've got the opportunity to hit him. It's all part of the fun. Anyway, enough taunting. Up next is the Cowboys. It's not looking great for them. I'm not gonna lie. On paper, the roster's pretty tasty. They've got some talent in there. I'm not saying it's the best they've had, but they've got some talent in there. Dak is arguably on his day a top 10 quarterback. Yep. Arguably. The issue is he's not always on his day, and his supporting cast hasn't really helped him all that much this year. How are we feeling going into this game? Of course, we're 5-3, got a little bit of leeway, but we don't really want to be giving up ground. So go on, Mark. Whilst your camera's working and you're nodding, fine.
I've changed on my hotspot now because it's my last resort. I actually quite like Dak for the most part. I think he is a good quarterback. I think the Cowboys really didn't invest/draft very well at all this offseason. They've been a lot worse than I thought they were going to be. I thought they were at least going to be slightly consistent. They're not. So for me, I think it's a winnable game. I think it's probably another shootout because I think Dak's got weapons that will carve us open. In terms of throwing the ball, I'm particularly worried about CeeDee Lamb. But outside of CeeDee Lamb, am I that terrified of their run game? Am I that terrified about anyone else? Not hugely. So again, it's dare I say it, but this one's on the defense to lose.
That's big pressure when the defense hasn't been defensing very well, but absolutely.
But we know Dak is very, very prone to doing stupid things. So again, like it does sometimes depend on what version of the Cowboys offense you get, not necessarily what version of Dak Prescott you get. I think is the but as soon as that offense starts to go wavy, so does he. And there was like, they've got a couple of players who can ball, but like I don't know whether you've seen it, but that cornerback they've got, Diggs' brother, Trayvon Diggs, I think is he was like booting off at reporters, telling the reporters that they didn't know football.
I did see one. Yeah, I thought that was the PR team must have been going crazy in the background.
And he came in the league and had like all of these picks. Was it last year, his debut season, or maybe the year before? And like had like loads of picks, and the Cowboys were still awful. But like he had loads of picks, but like his actual percentage of targets denied or whatever was actually awful.
Which just means he could make the camera plays that look good on screen, but
precisely
do the fundamentals, mate.
exactly. So I'm actually really, really quietly optimistic about this game, genuinely, because I think the Cowboys are too hit and miss, and I think that our offense is far too consistent right now.
Love that. Liam, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a case of stopping CD Lamb, basically. That for me is the entire game, because he's probably top 5 receiver in the league, I would say. He's that good. They cannot run the ball basically at all. Like, so that's their issue. Like, Dak's just having been fought, his hands is forced, and he's not got that many options. He's got a good tight end in Ferguson, and there you go. Yeah, they basically got the wrong. I mean, they did. I think they re-signed
Zeke
Elliott, but he's kind of not the player he was. Like, they stick with Dowdle. He clearly isn't really that guy. He signed Dalvin Cook, who I don't understand what's happened to Dalvin Cook, because
it's crazy, isn't it?
He was just awesome at the Vikings, and then he's been at 3 teams since, and he's got about 10 yards between them. So I don't understand what's going on with him, because he's somebody who's a threat. I would have said that I'm still almost in disbelief that he's dropped off as much as he has, but they didn't even use him. I don't think like very much, even though they signed him like back a few months ago. So
no.
They're sticking with Dowdle, and they believe he's better than Dalvin Cook, which I just think, well, I don't know what that says about the way Dalvin Cook's playing. So that to me says, we've got to just stop those that run game, and they basically force Dak to throw it and do what we possibly can on CD Lamb. It's going to be a similar sort of situation to the Saints with Olave, where he's gonna make plays, and that's not to say that we're not done a good job on him or whatever. He's that good of a player, and so that Olave is going to make plays. He's probably going to get over 50 yards, and he's probably going to get 5, 6, 7 receptions or whatever. It's just going to happen, but we just have to limit him to a middle game and not let him do his A game. He does his A game, he could put up, he can put 2 touchdowns with 150 yards or whatever. Like, that's just not an issue to a player like him. So keep the explosive player on the wraps. I would say stop the run game, but just keep them to the run game that they've had all season, which is absolutely nothing. And I think we should be, offensive line plays well enough. Like, I would say that we should be beating the Cowboys really on that basis.
It's a very confident start. Very confident start. Spot on though, because you only have to look back at the Seahawks game, and Metcalf on his own just kept getting the ball, and that's pretty much going to be the same kind of pattern for CD probably. In terms of the tools they've got, Scott in the comments. Too much jinxing going on here by my likings, but Elliott and Cook are cooked.
Yeah,
Crowd
I mean,
always there. But
yeah, I mean, yeah.
the confidence is almost concerning sometimes because these are the kind of games where we tend to falcon a little bit.
Yeah.
Me and Cal have a little bit of a bizarre scenario because this weekend we're watching the game together, and Connor that came out to Atlanta with us is a Cowboys fan, and he's also coming watching the game with us. So we're going to have a nice little 2v1 tussle in my front room on Sunday. So yeah, that's going to be a bit of a weird one. Cal, how are you feeling? Not about fighting Connor, just about the game.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be another shootout. It is going to be the defense that wins the game. I have no issues with the run game, like everyone said. Their defense below average, I reckon. The amount of points they've put up against some of the teams this year is ridiculous. I think we'll score over 30, but can we concede over 30? Also, yes, at this moment in time. But it's going to be a close game, but it's one of them where both teams are going to score quite a bit, and it's just it's them extra plays where getting them extra points in them times where you need that gap. And I think because they have CD Lamb, they can create from nothing to then a big explosive play. Not against like the Bucks didn't have their main two guys. We need them extra points every time throughout the game. But it's going to be. I like what Liam said. Can't remember if I had a win or loss on this one at the start of the season, but at this moment in time, it's a team we should be beating. We want to head to the playoffs. It's the team we should be putting 30-odd points against. It's at home as well, and apart from obviously I lost the other week, we've got an okay home record this year. So we'll see.
Just to divert a little bit, sorry, Connor's ears must have been burning because he's watching, and I don't know if he's watched the whole show or he heard his name and thought, I need to get on that live now. So go on, Mark.
Well, I was just going to say, just taking a little look. Cowboys put 33 points on the Browns. Scored 19, but conceded 44 points against the Saints. Close game, 28-25 against the Ravens. Ravens beat them. 20-15 against the Giants.
Who are trash.
Yeah. Got absolutely pummeled by the Lions, 47-9.
Yeah.
And then lost another close-ish game to the Niners, 30-24. So I don't know, you look at that and just go, well, I'm certainly not scared. I'm certainly not scared of being able to score points against this lot.
No, it's just whether they show up and drop 30 on us in one of their very bizarre games. That's all. That is literally it. It's defense v defense. It's whichever defense actually decides to show up for a change. Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
And I think we've got more pieces on defense to be able to do something.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Scott just dropped in the comments then Troy Anderson is coming back as well, so that's going to be important. We were, of course, expecting him back this week, I believe, and then there was a little bit of a don't know what happened that people got a little bit hissy about on socials, saying we should have covered that. But injuries are injuries.
It happened.
I do not have any other business for tonight, but does anybody else? I have two in my head that I think people might mention, but I won't do them just in case.
Can we? Just really quickly. Can we all just take a moment to laugh at the fact that Aaron Rodgers made the Jets hire all his friends to trade for Devontae Adams and then get beat by the Patriots? That is unbelievable. Like that man, I reckon he's in league with some sort of shaman who really doesn't like the Jets, because what's going on over there is crazy, and I couldn't, and I stupidly took Devontae Adams in a couple of my fantasy leagues and got a little bit buoyant that he'd been traded to his old pal. And they're still absolute ass cheeks. So I just wanted for us all to take a collective moment to laugh at Aaron Rodgers.
Sorry, I'll probably get shot down for saying this, especially here. Not feel a little bit bad for him, like seeing someone that's been so high profile for his entire career, like overall such an unbelievable career, and then he moves to the Jets and he just gone. Is there not a little bit of you that's sad?
No.
Okay, right, we'll move on.
That's so obvious.
No, because not at all. Because the man is a total crotch pheasant of the highest order. I'm really and it's a real shame because one of my best mates is a Jets fan, but this bin fire that he has created himself is just it's wonderful to stand and watch it burn.
Right, I will open the board, but we've got a few comments, and we have Carrie, that everybody probably knows from Twitter, who apparently usually catches us back, but she's caught us live. She goes to so many more games than I can comprehend, and it's very, very unfair that we go to one ever. But we won't talk about that. That wasn't the comment that made me pop her up. It was this one about 10 Hag being sacked for Manchester United. This is not the forum for me to cry about how poor my other sports teams are. This is a happy place. We're 5-3 and top of the NFC South. I know Manchester City are going to win the league. I know Manchester United are going to get relegated. I'm stuck it up. I'll move to another show and talk about that another time. No more. No more. Right. Okay. Moving on from that, Mark, you said take a moment to laugh at the gentleman we have just covered. I won't say his name again because I got shouted for even siding with him. Scott mentioned, can we not laugh at the Saints losing 6 straight games on the bounce? That is bonkers, to be fair. That is absolutely bonkers. We knew for a fact that those first 2 games were probably unexpected because we didn't have them on for performing like that this season. When we did all our preseason shows, we said, nope, the roster's not there. They're going to be all right. And for whatever reason, they just blew 2 teams out of the park. But what's gone wrong? And don't call me injuries. Don't call me all of that. We've got injuries. Everybody's got injuries. That's the NFL. I'm not having it. I'm not having it. What's gone wrong?
Well, it's just funny, isn't it? I mean, right, isn't it? 6 losses in a row. Their fan base is blowing up like our fan base has blown up for the last 4 or 5 years of my life.
Fair enough.
Good to see the fans on Twitter cry. Exactly what I want.
Lovely stuff. Well, go on, Mark. You look like you're trying to hold something in, but...
Well, I mean, everyone kind of went, oh, they've had 2 really good results. One of them was against the Panthers. So I don't really think, and I think I said at the time, I don't think you can read much into that. And then they had the crazy result against the Cowboys. Which,
now, again, in hindsight.
Yeah.
Well, precisely. So you kind of go, well, yeah, so it actually didn't have any, I think you looked at those 2 results and you were like, oh, Saints are in it. No. And they've got entirely what they deserved. They have lived in cap hell now for so long that I actually think the salary cap is a myth. And I think the other thing that's crazy, so to make it even worse, they've signed Kamara now to an even longer deal. And whatever players that they've got left are out there trying to break quarterbacks' ankles.
I knew that one was coming up.
And you just go like just a horrid organization, and long may it continue. Because I watch that video and seeing that lineman come in at the last second and absolutely clean him out, whatever awful individual it was that was trying to do it. Saints have been doing it for years. And you know, it is wonderful to see them in such misery.
I love it, because we literally said this not even 3 weeks ago about the Saints injuring players at crucial times. Like, it is ingrained in them to do so. And it is very much still the case. And this sounds like really bad slander, factual information.
I just don't get how a play like that is like. They should look at that and be like, it's not like a tackle where you got into a tackle, you might be a bit late or something like that. He's purposely tried to injure him there. There's no result. They should be looking at that and be like, that's a 3-week suspension straight away for me. Because it's not just a general play. He kept hold of his leg. What else was he trying to do?
Yeah. I shouldn't have popped that up.
I mean, it's true. I mean, I was about to say it myself. It's like, same organization, Bounty Gate, like, disgusting.
Exactly. Just going to pop a few comments up a quick second. Matt, as always, thank you very much. We have plenty more content to come. We've got loads of reels lined up and stuff like that, but we're just having to drip feed them because, honestly, you'll all get sick of it. Half of you live in Atlanta and we're posting Atlanta content like it's brand new information. And that's just like the streets that you walk down every day. It's really bizarre. It's really strange. And just on the back of the Saints' first 2 wins, it was fool's gold. Factual. It was very fool's gold. One more any other business, because it started a mini argument in our group chat. Mark's closing his eyes because he knows where this is going. There was a Hail Mary last night, and some people were claiming that was there. I've not seen anyone talking about it. And some people are claiming that this is one of the greatest Hail Marys that the God has ever produced and showed us. Debate.
It was class, to be fair, though.
It was good. It was good, but I've seen better Hail Marys than that.
But I think it's because it was a rookie. I think that's where it's now blown up. If it was just, I think if Kirk did that, I don't think it would have been blown up as much. But it's exciting. Washington won again. I think it's one of the teams that no one really hates either, kind of. I think it happens like a decent organisation as well, but I think that's why Mark hates stuff like that.
It was good. It was a very good point.
I do not hate stuff like that. I understand it. Jalen Daniels has been a revelation, in that team. Absolutely no doubt about it. If you watched him in college, you knew he had an arm, so you knew he was always. And Liam was right in the group chat, the way that he kind of moved around and just, kind of got out of trouble. I think it blew up for a couple of reasons. Commanders have been in the bin for so long, right? Yeah. And now they've got, a bit of something about them, which is wonderful. And actually, I think the Bears, just because of, I don't get it, but the Bears, just because they're a bit of a stupid organization and have been for many years. And I think that because of the success they probably had, especially in the 80s, they probably became a fan base that was quite unbearable for quite some time. So everyone likes to laugh at the Bears. But I don't know. It was just like, it wasn't, I keep saying it. It was just like, it got tipped. And then there was just a guy just meandering behind, waiting for the bounce.
I think that's the best part.
Yeah,
I was standing there like, what?
Yeah, but it wasn't just because Jaden Daniels just launched it and just went, somebody out there. And it was just a geezer at the back of the crowd, just like, oh,
thanks.
Lovely, I'll take that. Maybe that is why. Maybe it's getting blown up because it was almost a little bit slapstick. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm not convinced it was as. I'm not convinced that it deserved to be on every other reel that I watched last night. Like, I've seen that Hail Mary so many times now. It's unbelievable.
Nice little note in the comments. Commanders lining up for later in the season. I cannot remember for the life of me what week that is.
I'm pretty sure we all had us to win.
Yeah, we did. I don't know about that now, though. Don't know about that now. Much better team than they were on paper at the start of the season.
Yeah, they definitely are. Yeah,
absolutely.
But they are. But like, one thing I will say on that is that'll be another defense versus defense game, because theirs is not good.
True.
So for me. I thought my internet had gone there.
No, Gals went this time. We're 3 out of 4.
Maybe it's a platform. I don't know. It could just well be my offering. But I think you kind of look at that and go, "Oh, that's a game that could potentially see us into a specific point in the playoffs." Like we should be going into that game going, yeah, all right, Jaden Daniels is a threat in the same way that Jalen Hurts was a threat, in the same way that Dak Prescott's a threat, right? Like, if these are going to be shootouts, you want it to be a shootout against a poorer defense. So, for me, I'm still looking at that game and I'm going, yeah, well, Jaden Daniels is probably going to do bits, but like, there's been lesser quarterbacks that have done bits, like Again, boys, I don't mean to rub it in, but Geno Smith, like, Jesus, like it
ruined the trip. He owes us a refund.
He was great.
Joker. Anyway, chaps, unless anyone's got any extra to drop in before we call it, I will start to sign us off. I can see all of your eyes pacing and wondering.
Yeah, I'm starving. Need food.
Fair enough.
Really starving.
I was hungry.
I'm gonna go feed the hamster that's currently running the wheel that's connected to my router.
He must be starving as well. He's as hungry as Callie because he's not working very hard. Just a little plug as always. My two brilliant co-hosts below are wearing our merchandise right now. We've got a cap on Cal down here, and Liam's got a snapback over there, and Mark over here has got a beautiful hoodie on. Unfortunately, I'm not representing today. We were in Atlanta. I had to get myself some merch. This thing's beautiful. It's like an off-white tan color. It's stunning. Oh, the camera's doing it no justice. It does my complexion wonders. Honestly, stunning. Anyway, thank you all for watching. We apologize for the 1 week hiatus and also the technical issues that we've all experienced today. No idea. Hopefully it won't happen again. I can make no promises. Like I said, throughout the show, we will be posting plenty more tour content as we go along. Buy your merch, watch the tour content. We've hit 8,000 followers on Twitter, which is absolutely bonkers. So thank you all very much. We literally started this as a hobby. It is still a hobby, but it's just a much bigger hobby than it started out to be. So we are very, very grateful. Whether you found us back in 2020 or yesterday, it is a pleasure to be here. Mark, when they want to watch stuff back, can you tell them where they do it?
If they want to watch stuff back, then they can go back and find these posts all over the socials, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of the platforms. Or if you're like me and you like to listen to podcasts and you're driving, or when you're cooking or something like that, then you can find us on all your regular podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast.
Why did me and Mark celebrate and Cal cover his ears? This is respectful. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure. We will catch you next week. We are the 5-3 Falcons. See you next time.